Battle of the Challenges with Vincent Cloud, and this is the Gauntlet Episode 3 recap. This season is actually shaping up to be quite varied. I mean, now that we have a third episode, first you had dealing with the snakes, and then you had a puzzle, which was, either you were good or you blah, 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 puzzle. And now you have this extremely physical mission where people are banged and bruised. People shed blood in this episode. People get infections. People ride bikes terribly and just end up fucked up. And actually, it's more pinpointed to Real World. Real World just get their asses handed to them. We'll actually start off at the very beginning. Katie's hanging out with the Real Worlders. And keep in mind, Katie is a road ruler. And so she's bitching about her team. She's like, yeah, they're fucking fake. They're stupid. Like, I hate them and stuff. And, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go in again. So it doesn't matter what the next gauntlet's going to be. Nathan is there, and so is Trishelle, and Mike. I guess he shows up, and they're going to take off for a little bit of mountain biking. Then you cut back to, like, Norman gets a phone call, and they're like, oh my god, Trishelle, she tried to apply the brakes, and she flipped over her own bike. And now she looks kind of like Linda Blair in The Exorcist. You ever see that? At the very first shot, the very beginning, I was like, I was actually kind of spooked out a little bit to see her face. But yeah, she is banged up. Big black eye, just like cuts and bruises all over her face. But she is in good spirits, though, I'd have to say. I mean, everyone shows up, all Real Worlders and road rulers alike show up. It doesn't matter. They're there to see that Trishelle is doing pretty good. So everyone eventually takes off, but Mike, the Miz, he hangs back, and he takes some Q-tips and applies ointment. He also volunteers to take care of any itching problems with Trishelle, be it on her knee or her boobs. And she's like, no, it's fine, but, totally flirting and shit. So Mike the Miz, it's crazy. He is totally hitting on this girl who looks like she has been hit. It's fucked up. Like, she looks so bad. But he could see through that, man. Through into her soul. I don't know, something happened that really got to him. I certainly didn't see that scene. But, yeah, now that Trishelle is... It's almost... okay, maybe it's like that thing. The what is it called? When the nurses would take care of the injured soldiers, and then they would end up falling in love with them. I think it was called, like, it wasn't Stockholm Syndrome. I know it's not that. It was Stalking Birds. And no, right? No, it's not Stockholm Syndrome, but it's damn close to, like, Stalking Bird or something. Stokes. Oh fuck. Crane. Shit. All right, never mind. But yeah, whatever that is. Miz is the nurse in this situation, and Trishelle is that injured soldier. And that just, entrances the Miz. He is totally into this chick. Yeah. New romance is a bloom. So that's all good. So now let's talk about the actual frickin' mission of the day. And that's called Mudbath. And it's going to be everyone involved in this thing. As in guys and girls, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how physical this thing is. It's going to happen, whether you like it or not. I'm fighting something with beer, and hopefully that helps with my throat a little bit. Once again, I'm going to be throwing in some YouTube comments about the same episode that I'm watching, because that was kind of cool the first time. Bringing it back. We'll start off with carrot cakes. 1, 2, 3. I've noticed that the older challenges are a lot less gender-based. Guys and girls competing in the same missions and in the same elimination rounds. Totally. Carrot cakes. 1, 2, 3. You're totally correct. And that's one of the coolest part about this season. I mean, this won't really... I think this is the first time and, like, the last time where it's this extreme, where they're like, we don't give a shit. Like, the producers are like, all right, we're going to have these guys and these girls playing this ultimate challenge. We're totally going to top ourselves this season. And in a way, they do. they'll never do it this extreme again in terms of involving guys and girls in the same physical challenge and whatever. But you know what? I kind of wish that it would have stayed like this. There's a reason why I'm covering this particular season, because it's very unique and it might be their best. Who knows, man? But let's keep watching. Who else put some stuff up there? Oh, the Island Light. That person says Trishelle was so different on Battle of the Seasons. That was the first season I watched, LOL. You know what I think it is? I think that people are latching on to how strong and courageous Trishelle is coming off in this episode. Because Johnny Mosley does say, hey, everyone's going to do this. There's going to be 3 less balls every single time. You can steal the balls, as in basketball, but there cannot be any intentional physicality. The challenge doctor says, listen, you can't do this. I mean, you're going to aggravate the abrasions. You're not going to heal right. You're going to get messed up. A hand's going to grow out of your face. No, it's not like that, but the scars is going to be worse. Trishelle also said, well, I don't care. I want to go and do it. But the guy just shakes his head no. He's like, no, that's final. I'm sorry. So I think that, some people are latching onto that, like, oh my God, she's so courageous. She's so totally different from Battle of the Seasons. And the reason why is because she's in a complete state where you're like, oh my God, you poor thing. Are you all right? This is total sympathy. And she's told that she can't do this competition. And she's like, no, I want to. Get this on camera. You got it on camera? All right, good. And then maybe she's like, hey, I don't want to do that. That's insane. People are going to get injured in this thing. And it's true. And here it comes. Going into this, though, Real World are down, especially because Trishelle just dropped out. They're down 3. Road Rules has 14 players. Real World now has 11 players. They're all going to start outside this huge arena of mud, and in the center is this huge pile of giant yoga balls, I would want to say. They also have sprinklers on all the outside, so everything's super slippery and slick and shit. So it's pretty cool, and this is going to be great. And so round 1 starts off. It was quick, and it was done like that. People just grabbed balls and then ran outside. It was really quick. It ends with Coral out for the Real World team. She is the first girl out once again. Oh, fuck. FIFA Ames says, not surprisingly, Coral was the first one out. Same as every game. Oh my gosh, and that has 4 likes already. Oh my God, guys. So, Coral is out. The other 2 players are Road Rules, thankfully. I guess I'm kind of cheering for Real World a little bit because the underdog story is happening, and I think that the Road Rules are just a little bit more meaner, I guess. I'm not sure. Whatever. But those 2 Road Rule players are Katie and I think it's Kara. Or Kara. And Katie's just like, oh shit, this sucks. If they ever needed a good excuse to throw me in again, it's today. First one out, right? Kara, however, she did really good in episode 1 in the snake soup thing. I think she was the last road ruler. And now she's at the bottom. So I don't think she has much to fear. Plus she's kind of part of the clique, I feel. She's dating David G of Grim fame. And I think they're all kind of good with each other. All right, so round 2. This is crazy. It starts off with Abram tackling The Miz. He's got a ball in his hand. And in turn, Norman goes to defend The Miz and tackles Abram. And they both get disqualified. Miz ends up getting a ball. And both Norman and Abram are DQ'd. This is kind of shocking for Norman to DQ, to be that bold, oh, come on, man, you had to have known, right? But, he's trying to defend The Miz. Call me crazy, but I could have swore he had some, bags or, a fanny pack or something. He was running this thing with, bags and stuff on him. It was really weird, a lunchbox or something, too. It was nuts. So he's DQ'd for Real World. You're not helping us at all, Norman, with that behavior. And Elka's out as well for the Real World. I don't really see what happened to her, but apparently she's kind of messed up too. In fact, she's about to have an infection. Or, later on in the episode, she's going to say, I have an infection. And then the third person out this round is for Road Rules. Abram, he's DQ'd. He's now DQ'd himself twice this season. I mean, sure, he really helped out with the episode 2 mission, the Masquerade puzzle, but I don't know how he's sitting here politically right now, where people are like, holy shit, you're a loose cannon, Abram. Like, we don't need that. That's what I would be thinking right now. Round 3 begins. This is actually pretty sweet. It's probably my favorite round. Tanya just freaking goes up to Sarah, elbows her away, starts running it off to the outside, and Steve comes in with a ball in his arms, and he leaps and knocks the ball flying out of Tanya's hands, and Sarah runs and catches it and runs into a fucking field goal. This is awesome. Alton is like, Irulan, run to the other side and take that ball away from them. And she goes sprinting across the entire mud circle. She crosses all the way over to the other side, where Veronica of Road Rules is taking on 2 real-world chicks at once, Tanya and Rachel. But Irulan comes in, rips the ball out of there, and she gets the point. So now Real World loses 2 once again, Tanya and Rachel. Road Rules only loses 1. So they're still doing pretty good, but they lose Veronica. But total props, Veronica. That was awesome. Oh, and at this point now, like, everyone is just banged up and bruised. Like, Tanya, she starts walking and she's like, oh my god, meniscus. Clip Observer says, that was a physical challenge. And they said the newer challenges are better. I'm kind of there with them. I mean, it's extreme, isn't it? So now we get to round 4. This is a 20-minute episode, and you really don't get too much footage. They just kind of like round starts, and then they just show the people that got out. They just throw them up. And we have Theo for Real World, but just one at least, finally. But for Road Rules, it's Steve and Tina. Good old Steve and Tina somewhere, but hey, she lasted that long, pretty good. Round 5, again, super quick. You didn't really see anything. They just said, bam, all 3 Road Rule people. Sarah, Rachel Robinson, and Ronnie. It's a huge blow for the Road Rules. Episode 6. The only thing I have to say about this is Adam L was offsides. He just started off way too early and instant DQ. That sucks because he's a good competitor. So at the end of that, Nathan is out, the soap opera actor, Nathan. And then Irulan, the Alton's girlfriend chick. And then, of course, for Road Rules, it's just one, but it sucks. It's Adam L for being offsides. Round 7. Alton tries to tackle Darrell, and he rips it out of him, and he grabs the ball, and that's the shot where he kind of like bounces onto it when he jumps over the line into the goal line, and he just gets launched over to the other side. It's pretty sweet. But Darrell's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, you can't win this straight. You can't win this cheating either. It's awesome. I wish they would have had a little bit more of an interaction than that, but that's fine. And then somewhere in the mix, we lost some other challengers. So round 7 ends with Alton out of there for a DQ, tackling Darrell, and Miz for the Real World as well. And then for Road Rulers, Theo Vaughn, he's gone, and he's pretty much the leader. He's the guy who's always giving advice. He's not really ordering people around. He's just always saying stuff that's going to help them. Finally, this is the final round. We only have 1 Real Worlder person against 3 Road Rulers. Matt, the God-fearing, all his winnings are going to go to build a mission somewhere in Florida or something. No, I don't think it was Florida, but it was somewhere. So anyways, this guy is up against Darrell, David G. of Grim fame, and Latarian. They go, Matt tries his best, but he can't even grab them. Well, he kind of does, I guess. But then he slides into the mud, into the muck, and Road Rules wins another $10,000. Back at the house, Matt, he's got a cut. He got like a cut over his eye, and then his eye got all bruised up, and now he's got a black eye. Tanya comes in on crutches, and she's got like this medicinal boot on her up to her knee, and she's like, I tore my meniscus. My knee is messed up. Elka, she's like, I got an infection. No, fuck. So anyways, it's real world time to deliberate because they have to send one person to the Gauntlet, the elimination round, while Road Rules has to decide theirs. So Cora's like, she's holding the belt of talk, of free speech. And she's like, you know what? We have to just think of like who can physically do these things. Like I can do it. I think Irulan comes up and she's like, I think everyone knows that I and Alton are down to go in whenever. And Alton's like, yeah, thanks, honey. She volunteers him. Coral volunteers herself. And Matt, in the confessional, he's like, it's easy to volunteer when you know you're not going in. There's no way that they're going to vote Coral off because of her relationship with Miz. So they cut to Matt, and Matt's like, I want to stay. I felt I did really good this mission. And right away, Irulan's like, I think it's pathetic that no one will step up. Like, no one else would step up. And Matt's trying to say, hey, I don't think I should go in at all. Like, I felt like I did really good. And in my eyes, he did. He did do pretty well. I think he did above... I think he was in the second half of the snake soup thing, and then he was a key puzzle person in the episode 2. And in this one, he was the last person. So he shouldn't even have to speak his piece, right? Is that what it's called? Speak your piece? Yeah. He shouldn't even have to. That never should have been brought up. Irulan is saying, oh, it's pathetic that no one else is going to suggest themselves. First of all, you already have 3 people saying, I'll go in. How is there need for any more talk than this? Why don't you, if you're really going to go in, why don't you go in? And why wouldn't they go in? Because as far as they all could tell at that point, they're like, well, Coral even said, who can physically go in? And that's why Coral said I could go in, for example. But Nathan, he kind of turns the tides. He says, Tanya, you are one of our top girls, but you probably have the worst injury. You're going to hurt us a week from now, 2 weeks from now, and he said they're only going to get more harder. They're going to get more and more physical. He's really making a point. I like that he says, hey, you are our top girls, because she is. Like, she helped in the puzzle, episode 2. She did really good in the snake soup thing. She got pretty far. She was definitely in the later half of her team. And in this one, she elbowed Sarah and stuff, and then she got into, Steve kicked it out of her arm, and then what does she do? She just runs over to the other side and helps Rachel take on Veronica in a triple threat match. No, in a 2-on-1 match. Handicap match. It was crazy. And then she ends up handicapped herself. It's nuts. And the poor person, she's like, wait, hold on. No, I did great. What the heck? There's no need to put me in. Like, I did really good. But they're like, look at your leg, woman. Like, look at yourself. Look at our whole team. But out of the worst of us, it's like, you really might not be able to do anything now. A torn meniscus, I don't know what a meniscus is. I know that a knee is important, but so the poor girl, she just kind of gets pounced on. And a few things with Nathan, I kind of made fun of him for being like, hey, I'm an actor. I was on the soap opera and stuff like that. And I kind of tried to think like, oh man, I wonder if he kind of throws himself into the mix like an actor, like, hey, give me the screen time. And he does, but not as frequently as, say, like a Coral does. But Coral, none of her things, it's all kind of very, I tried to pronounce this before, arbitrary. Fuck. God damn it. I don't think I could pronounce that word. But for her, it's mostly just like, oh, because I want to do it. That's why I want to vote this way. Because I don't like this person, But Nathan is putting up his 2 cents in there, making his voice known subtly and getting on the camera. Yet his advice is good. Did I feel bad about Tanya getting ganged up on because of her injuries? Yes, but it's kind of like, hey, the truth hurts. It's going to continue to hurt Tanya. It's all about the pain this episode. It's nuts. Everyone. So anyways, now, they're all up in Tanya's business and stuff. The poor girl, she's starting to get really upset. And Matt, meanwhile, is saying, like, it's all politics, personality, and ego in this room. And we're going to have a crap team when this is all over with. They end up having might be having a secret ballot. Because now they go up to a camera and say who they're going to vote for. That must mean that they just did not decide on a certain person. It kind of threw me off a little bit. I was like, is this just... The producer was like, hey, who'd you vote for? They'd be like, hey, weren't you filming? I'm not gonna repeat myself. Fuck you, Bunham. But no. So maybe they had a private vote this time because maybe they really couldn't decide. Because even Coral says, like, I vote for myself. So why would you go, So they did. They had a private vote. You know who else voted for Coral? Matt. Matt's like, you know what? This girl has done the worst. Like, the first and the worst in the challenges. She's got to go. And she's poisoning the fucking system. The real world team from within with the inner turmoil. Part of my theory right now, I was thinking about this. Maybe it's because she did win her previous season. And she's like, I don't care right now. Like, I have money, and I already got some money just to show up on here, and I'm getting paid every episode that I'm on here. So why not just make it, like, entertaining for myself? I want to make some great television. Because I don't remember if she was this, I want to say agitating, but that's not the word. But being this in your face about everything. I don't know what I'm saying, but I think we'll have to return to it because already that theme, that idea is kind of emerging throughout these episodes, but nothing's concrete because she is voting for herself. So now, road rules. Let's get to them. It's time for them to vote. And, they're in the room, ready to vote. And Katie's like, hey guys, I want to apologize for being aloof and rude. Even if you guys put me in again, I just want to say no hard feelings. Like, let's try and get past it. And some people are like, well, I believe her. I think Tina, she's like, oh, I do believe her, but I don't think anyone else does. And I think it was Rachel or so. I don't know. Someone said it was like a little too late. I mean, it's at the voting. It's moments before everyone has to vote. Why? That's so last minute, Katie. So the votes are in. And the top three into the elimination are Abe with 23, Katie with 27, but Steve, he has 32. He's going in. It's pretty nuts. It's I think that Abe deserved to be in the top three because he did DQ twice. I mean, that's just... But he was also super helpful in episode 2. But, like, that's still 2 DQs for the other 2 episodes, and yeah, I don't know. But Katie was still up there, and sure, yeah, she did. She actually did do bad though. So you could say it's justified, but like Steve, it's justified for this episode for Katie at least. But Steve, however, he's thrown in, and I felt like he did actually pretty good. What did I put with the notes? Where did he go? He was out in round 4, and he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he was like 5th or 6th out for the road rule team. But I mean, he did do better than Abram. So yeah, it's tough. It's a tough call, and maybe I just don't really understand why they put him in. Veronica, I think she said that that we can't continue to think that only our worst players are female. I think that's what she said. Yeah, something like that. So we're gonna put in a guy, and I feel like that's just what it came down to, and they don't want to do a repeat. All right, and finally, we're at the Gauntlet. It's time for the elimination round. Johnny Mosley calls the 2 appointed representatives of both real world and road rules, and they're gonna go, and they roll the dice. It's Tanya. By the way, it's Tanya versus Steve. It's messed up. Tanya's like, I feel betrayed. Like, this is crazy. I was doing so good for them. So they roll the dice, and it's called Perfect Fit, and it is basically it's it's a little bit of swimming, but it's mostly a puzzle. Tanya's like, oh great, like swimming on my meniscus using my limbs. Isn't swimming mostly the legs? Isn't it all meniscus when you're swimming? And Steve, I don't know how he swims, but I assume he does pretty well. But most of all, as we recall, all his friends were puzzles. That's all he did. He didn't have any friends. He had puzzles. So he's like, oh man, I am money in the bank right now. This is nuts. Like, it's totally not even fair. This is stupid. So now it starts. They had to run around to the beginning of the pool, jump in, where all their puzzle pieces are floating around, throw them up, and then Tanya has to pull herself up using her leg, a ladder or otherwise. I think Steve is at the puzzle quite a while. I don't know what else to say, but Steve wins. He was good at puzzles, so Steve wins. Tanya is the third real worlder to go. Is it a loss? For sure, she was a top girl, but like, an injury is an injury, and I think I'm going to take the stance that a meniscus is, a torn one is very bad for you. And you should not be messing with that. You should not be playing with it. So I think, it sucks to see you go, Tanya, but I love to watch you walk away. No, I'm going to look up another YouTube thing here. Pineapple Pootie Tang said, I thoroughly enjoyed watching Tanya lose. I'm not sure why. You know what? I think, and I'm just going to throw this out there, I think that Pineapple Pootie Tang, this is not your first season, is it? You watched her in her later years, perhaps when she was just drinking and making a huge mess, but she has performed really well. And I think that's what's going on. You're just judging her by her future. No, you have to give her the benefit of the doubt. You have to judge her, I think, on, what is this, 2003 standards then? Yeah. If this is 2003, I don't know what year this is, but judged on those merits. And then, who's this? Jay Harveyist says, wow, I've never seen this good sportsmanship attitude from Trishelle. She had an absolutely awful attitude on Battle of the Seasons and Rivals 2. Also, why didn't they have a girls and a guys round for that game? That was just dangerous. Yes and yes. But again, with the quote about Trishelle and her good sportsmanship, it's like, you can't, it's all posturing. If you are injured and they're just like, you're not gonna go, you could just be like, no, it doesn't matter, I am the best at grabbing yoga balls in the mud. You don't understand, like, I was raised like that's what we did back home. That's, I don't know anything else other than this. And are you kidding me? You're gonna make me sit up for this one? And she could really sell it. She could, had she said that, maybe I would have believed it. So, but what did Trishelle do exactly? If you're just going to judge it from this episode, she can't bike. We know that. And you know what? We'll never know how she does in this extremely physical challenge where, let's face it, a lot of her team got fucking broken. They were just shattered at the end. So it's like, even, had she joined, maybe those scars, maybe she would not look the same today had she had to go under the knife, because the wounds would not heal properly. What if then? We don't know. Yeah, I think we're left with a better Trishelle for it. Well, that's it. I think in the end, Road Rulers, they're gonna have such a good team still, because Steve is very good at puzzles, and puzzles, it's not like they ever go away in a challenge. They're still around big time. And Tanya, it's like that injury, girl, I'm sorry, it really sucks. Yeah, I didn't know what a meniscus was. I didn't realize that as soon as Like when a horse injures its leg, you have to shoot it in front of your own kids. Like I thought, I didn't know. I was like, I didn't know it was that sort of injury. I did not know that Tanya tearing her meniscus, she just went from Seabiscuit to glue. It sucks. It's really too bad. But yeah, there you go. That's the end of the episode. Like it if you like this. Make sure to subscribe. And feel free to leave comments on these YouTube videos of the challenge by by Phillies 3435, and you will end up in a podcast. I mean, I'm telling you, like it, and then share it. Try and get it out there. But yeah, this is Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud, and see you next week, because this is a weekly podcast.